Have a story to tell? I believe you. Ghost, cryptids, the unknown. Let's talk about it. This is My GhostCast. Welcome back to My GhostCast. This week's episode, we are talking to my buddy Hector. I'm really thankful he shared his experiences with us. His story really scared the crap out of me. He's got a couple of them. He's got some more, and I hope he shares more in the future. But please enjoy this episode. Thanks. Hey guys, welcome back to My GhostCast. Your host, Threz. Today, I got a very important buddy of mine, friend, guest, Hector Cruz. Hector Cruz, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
This is a long time waiting, man. Hector's got this story. We've done a lot to get over here, technical issues, all kinds of goodies.
That's very true.
So Hector, let's tell our audience, how do we know each other?
Okay. We know each other because which organization based out of Japan. Both Therese and I are warriors in spirit and heart, and we practice martial art called taijutsu that has a long lineage from Japan. And it's many schools that have come together in present time. There's more than 9, but the current Grandmaster recognizes 9 of them, and within that they form the Bunjinkan organization.
That's true.
So that's what brought us together. And if I may, the way Therese and I met is actually really pretty funny to me because we're both from Texas, different parts of Texas, but we're both from Texas. We both probably started around the same time, but we met in Japan.
That we did.
And my side of the story is that we were both staying in prefecture or Kashiwa, and same hotel, not knowing that you were there and I were there. We didn't know each other. So the elevator door opens and I'm about to walk in and I notice this other Mexican.
It's true. It's all true.
Yeah. So I'm like we're looking at each other, and it's like, not squaring off, but like, I look more Asian than you, so you were probably thinking.
I was like, man, they got some Chinese Mexicans over here. I was like,
I know. So you were probably thinking that I was Chinese, but man, this guy looks Mexican. And then we just look at each other, nod. Then we start talking, and we find out we're both from Texas, and there it began.
So true. Man, I remember that clearly, dude. Even right now, I'm like, I remember when that elevator opened up to get in. I was like, hey, who is this guy? Was he on that one movie? And then you're like, hey, no, come on in. I think I said something like, hey, is there any room in here? Because you were with a lot of dudes.
Right.
I think it was with Betsy and everybody, right?
Right.
2005, Daikomyosai.
That's right.
It was. I was there with Rob in Canada, and I was like, hey, man, and you had a really great feel to you. I'm one of those guys that, gets a good feel, like an energy, a spidey sense about people. And man, when I met Hector, I was like, man, this is a good guy. Holy crap. I'm like, whoa, because you're walking around this place and everybody's kind of got a, hey, man, hey, it's kind of sizing everybody up.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, dang, dude, this dude could be Mexican, man. You never know. And we started talking, man, and man, that was one of the greatest days of my life, man, because I've enjoyed Hector's friendship and camaraderie ever since. Even there, man. And to be honest with you, most of the Americans that we met, me and Rob did on that trip, were not very friendly to us. But it was really neat that you and I were like instantly hit it off.
I agree. That was the feel that I had. And, we don't see each other a whole lot even now, like we mentioned before the podcast started. But, it's like one of those things where anytime we meet up again, it's like where we left off,
Absolutely.
And, that's also special to me as well.
Yeah. I mean, every time I see Hector, I'm like, it's that same feeling when I met him in the elevator. It's consistent. It's not like, man, this guy need to hang out. Or maybe the world doesn't want us to hang out. I'm like, man, those two guys are too powerful to hang out, man. We just can't let them hang out.
Right.
But no. Oh man, Hector's awesome guy, man. And actually, what got you here? And to go into a little bit of that, so we'll get Carin mad at us. She's, I was watching the interview. Y'all were talking too much. No, anyways, yeah, man. Yeah, Hector. I didn't know that he had kind of some stories. How did we get into the stories thing? Do you remember?
Yeah, you mentioned to me you had a podcast, and well, I told you that I have what I call them is a couple of experiences, and these experiences are, of the supernatural, mystical, and I'm not a big believer in that, but being Hispanic, it's kind of like you're, in my opinion at least, you're superstitious by blood.
Yeah, it's cultural,
right?
Absolutely cultural.
It's kind of like in our blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, as much as I say I don't believe and maybe try not to believe, I actually have more than two stories, but I have a couple of experiences that, that maybe you can, if you try hard, you can find an explanation to them, but they don't come easily. Mm-hmm. So that being said, it's like, okay, I have to give these the benefit of the doubt, if I can put it that way.
Yeah. And I appreciated you, talking to me about it when we met up at the seminar last year. I was like, man, Hector was open about it, and man, that was awesome. Yeah. So, all right. So guys, we'll be right back. Hector's going to get started with his story. This is going to be fun. It connects with another story in another episode. Woo. So again, guys, we'll be right back. Again, our host is Hector Cruz. Yeah, Hector. So this leads to your next story. Go ahead.
Okay. So my next story takes me back to where I'm probably around 12, 13. And, growing up here in Del Rio, once again, it's a border town. And I'm not sure. So in Spanish, I'm sure a lot of people have heard what they call a lechuza. So a lechuza is basically an owl, right? And if you're of Hispanic supernatural descent, then if a lechuza is on your property, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Are they like supposed to be brujas or brujos
it's like
or something?
A curse. It's a witch, a curse. something malicious, right? But one morning we woke up and there was this owl there. So my mom freaked out, right? And, right around that same time, things started not going our way, people get sick in my family, stuff like that. Thank God, not like really sick, but just sick. And so my mom had us swept. Spanish, you call it barrir. It's kind of like an incantation. It's very, very old Catholic, superstitious, supernatural, where they want to either, a lot of times they use an egg, but a lot of times they use a branch and just put it on your body and stuff. Actually, we were going through this. Here we are, Catholic, but we're still going through this.
Clearing or something like that. I remember
spiritual cleansing, like you said, and stuff. And so that's during that same time, after that, obviously, I had this other experience, and it starts with my family. Everybody left to go visit my grandmother, and I stayed back on my own. I was like 12, 13 already, like I said, so I was old enough to do that. I stayed back because I had a lot of homework. That was my reason. And all things aside, really, what I did, I was doing homework, right? So here I am staying alone at the house, doing homework. It goes into the night. They were still visiting my grandma. And where I was doing my homework was on a dining table, and at that time our dining table would face the front door of the house. And once again, it was late, nighttime, and I'm doing homework, and all of a sudden I hear noise, the doorknob turning. So I look up, and one, I hear the doorknob turning, and two, I see the doorknob turning. I'm looking at the doorknob moving, right? But it was locked, but I'm seeing it move. So, okay. Once again, naive, ignorant, didn't think anything of it. So I get up, and in my mind, I'm thinking that my family is returning, coming back, and maybe one of my younger siblings or something ran ahead and they're trying to come in, and they didn't bother knocking. That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah, somebody's just trying to let themselves in, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything of it, So here I am, I get up and I walk towards the door, and I reach to the doorknob, and I'm about to open it, and all of a sudden I remember that my mom always taught us to, before you open a door, always look through the window to see who it is. So, like a good, son, I remember, so I stop, I open the curtain on the side, to look to see who it is. And I noticed that there's nobody there. So there's nobody there, and I'm clueless. I don't think anything of it. I'm not thinking that seconds before that, I heard and physically saw the doorknob turning, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, there's nobody there. So as I let the curtain go, and the curtain's falling back, my sight catches it, and I'm looking down, and all of a sudden I look down and I see two extremities, two legs, okay? And they don't look human. I mean, they don't look human. You know, the thing is, you could say, I mean, I could say right now, because it's been many years, you know, I could say right now, you know, that it made it look like a dog, right? Or some kind of an animal. I don't want to say goat, but that's also a possibility, because right away you're going to think, you know, historically, you know, what, you know, ancient European stuff, you know, any other religions would say. But what I did notice was that if it was an animal, then you would see 4 legs. But I saw 2.
Dang.
2 legs.
Bipedal?
So I see 2 legs walking away. And then the curtain hid completely. So then I opened the curtain again, and whatever it was gone. So that's once again, to me, that's unexplainable, because I didn't see the whole body. I saw the legs. And if it was an animal, if it was a dog, why did I only see 2 legs? And how an animal try to, you know, move the doorknob handle? So,
I got chills thinking about that, man.
This did freak me out, you know, at that age. You know, it freaked me out. You know, I couldn't explain it. You know, I think I just went back, sit down, and, you know, thank goodness, you know, thank God that not too long after that, my family did arrive, and I told them, and my mom right away, you know, basically started praying rosary, you know, being traditional Catholic, you know, old school Catholic. So that's another good one to me, because, like I said, I wasn't doing anything before. I wasn't falling. I didn't understand at that age, especially, you know, and I've never really accepted it. That's the other thing. I've never really accepted or fully embraced this supernatural. You know, I just give it the benefit of the doubt. That's what I say. And because I can't explain these 2 scenarios, you know, these 2 experiences, and that one is even harder than the other one, because on the other one, the first one, you could say, well, maybe she was schizophrenic. I don't know, you know. But this one is okay. That's just I'm doing my homework. I wasn't drinking back then. I was only 13.
At least we won't, you know, tell anybody.
So,
Mom, he was not drinking.
Exactly.
Mama.
I'm doing my homework. I look up, and I heard and I saw the doorknob turning. I don't know, brother.
Oh my God, dude.
I don't know.
I've experienced 2 things like that, man. One of them I was in high school, and the other as an adult. In high school, I'll tell you a quick story that connects with that. But there was in my grandma's house, and it was the back room. My grandpa's house, way in the back room. And they, you know, there's always stories that, you know, there's a ghost back there or something's back there. And I was like, yeah, whatever. We had visitors from Mexico wake everybody up in the middle of the night saying there was a man at the end of the bed, a vampiro. They were calling it a vampire in Spanish. And vampiro, vampiro. And like the whole house woke up. Oh, there are a lot of stories. But as I got older, I was like, you know, whatever. Not many people stay there anymore. So less stories happen, right? And so one afternoon, I skipped school. Mom's like, hey, you know, and I just wasn't feeling well, but then I felt better. We went to Grandma's house. Grandma and Grandpa were eating in the living room with my mom. They were having their cafecito with their bread. And sure enough, man, I was in the back, and another friend of mine, she always liked skipping school. So if I skip, she's like, hey, I'm gonna skip too. She would skip school, and I called her up on the telephone, because back then, you know, it was all, you had to call on the phone, you know, and call her up, and I'm talking with her, and I close the door and I lock it because I don't want Mom know I'm talking to another girl. And I'm way in the back, and I'm like, you know, okay, I'm on the phone, and I hear the doorknob turning. I'm like, oh, that's my uncle. My Uncle Ruben always liked scaring me. So I was like, oh, this dude's going to scare me. And I look, and I see the doorknob turning, right? And I'm like, wait. And I look from where I was at, I could see underneath. I'm looking for, like, you know, his two legs or a shadow underneath the door. There was nothing. There was no shadow. There was nobody under there. And the door just goes, and it goes, and it opens up, and I'm watching it, and I'm on the phone going, I'm going to call you back. And I just hung up on her. And I'm watching thinking, and it's opening slow. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a movie. And I'm like, still thinking, man, is it my uncle? He's going to try and scare me because he's doing a really good job. And it opens enough, and I'm like, there's nobody there. It opens my house. I think I'm running over there, and my grandparents and mom are like, hey, what are you doing? What are you yelling? Oh, is Uncle B here? No, it's just us. What's wrong with you? You know, Grandpa, ¿qué tienes? And I'm like, nothing. But seeing that, man, seeing that doorknob, and I watch it, and it's locked from the inside, and it goes, and then it's like, and I'm like, oh shit. Second time, man, it was worse. I was an adult, and I watched. I'll tell that story at a later time, but I was in the bathroom sitting on the toilet, and the door is right in front of me, an apartment, and I feel the cold kick in, and I'm just, you know, hearing a voice, and I see, and I'm like, you know, when you get scared, you really like hone in, all your stuff's honing in. I'm, you know, Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, oh, dude, I watched the doorknob go, and I'm like, oh, you know, and I was like, anyway, yeah, I get you, man. And dude, I'm so glad you did not open that door, dude.
I'm telling you.
How many kids go missing? You know, and stuff like that.
Thank God for mothers.
For real, dude. Oh my God. Anything you want to add? Anything else you want to add on that story that you remember or?
No, just, you know, we had, you know, there were some other experiences that followed it. Personally, not as creepy as that one for me, but, you know, I just, it was a big ordeal. We had to go to curandero, you know, and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, we had one of those too. I think all the Hispanic families always go to one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a curandera, so we went to the girl one. Oh man, Hector, man, thanks so much for sharing that story, dude. I really appreciate it, you know, and in more ways than you know, because, you know, people experience these things, and you can tend to feel alone, you know, like,
right.
Man, nobody believes me.
Right.
I'm like, I'll just shut up and keep it to myself.
Thank you for, you know, for starting something like this, because, you know, it's giving a voice to these experiences, you know, and there's especially you doing this, you may notice that there's a similarity, you know, between them. So, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of connections.
So